What if I told you that your barista, your high school math teacher, and possibly your Uncle Bob who collects vintage spoons might all be aliens? No, not illegal aliens, like actual extraterrestrial beings with squishy organs, fourth eyelids, and a deep passion for cargo shorts. It sounds ridiculous, I know, but so does pineapple on pizza, and yet here we are. The idea that aliens have been living among us for centuries isn't just a fever dream of someone who spent too much time watching late-night History Channel while eating cold lasagna. It's a theory older than your great-grandmother's fear of microwaves. Ancient civilizations were already drawing suspiciously accurate flying saucers on their cave walls while we were still learning how not to set our own feet on fire with flint. The Sumerians? Aliens. The Egyptians? Alien interns. The Mayans? Probably aliens on spring break. And Stonehenge? Built by aliens who were too proud to ask for directions. But let's roll back and ask the big question. If aliens have been living among us this whole time, what have they actually been doing? Because if they came all the way across the galaxy just to study TikTok trends and work at IKEA, we need to seriously rethink our appeal as a species. Still, there's a compelling theory that these aliens aren't here to conquer us, they're here to blend in. Maybe Earth is the universe's Florida, weird, warm, unpredictable, and full of people who wrestle gators or wear Crocs without shame. That would make us the ideal place for cosmic witness protection. Imagine it! Aliens escaping their homeworld debts or royal scandals, trying to start fresh in a place where nobody questions why you eat mayonnaise straight from the jar or hoard 600 Beanie Babies. They're probably disguised as yoga instructors, conspiracy vloggers, or people who genuinely enjoy the taste of kale. But blending in isn't easy. The human race, for all its flexibility in fashion and moral standards, tends to notice things like green skin, blinking gills, or people who don't understand the concept of small talk. So these aliens have to adapt. They mimic our speech, our customs, even our weird obsession with singing competitions judged by washed-up celebrities. And slowly, over centuries, they've integrated so seamlessly that we barely notice. But there are clues, dear listener. Oh yes. Ever met someone who doesn't blink? Alien. Someone who eats their pizza with a fork and knife and starts from the crust? Alien. Someone who unironically uses phrases like, "let's circle back in casual conversation"? Alien overlord? Minimum. Of course, there's always a theory that these aliens are secretly guiding us, nudging our technology, manipulating politics, occasionally crashing in New Mexico just to mess with us. Maybe they planted the seeds of human civilization. Maybe they invented jazz. Or worse, maybe they invented bureaucracy or NFTs. And for the truly paranoid among us, and by paranoid I mean anyone who's ever watched 3 YouTube videos in a row titled "The Lizard Elite Are Controlling Your Laundry Detergent Choices," there's the idea that world leaders are all shape-shifting alien reptiles, which would explain why they blink sideways and don't seem to understand basic human emotion. Or public transportation. But here's a thought. What if the aliens aren't trying to control us? What if they're just here for the vibes? Like cosmic tourists, watching us like an interstellar reality show, keeping up with the carbon-based life forms. Season 7, The Rise and Fall of Twitter. That would explain why they haven't revealed themselves yet. Because honestly, if you were an advanced species watching humanity microwave fish in office break rooms and willingly install AI doorbells that judge your outfits, would you want to make contact? Or would you just keep eating your popcorn and watching us self-destruct one podcast at a time? So here we are, blissfully unaware, living our lives, filing our taxes, making memes, while an unknown number of aliens live among us, sipping soy lattes and quietly judging our species-wide obsession with pumpkin spice. And in the grand scheme of the universe, maybe that's kind of beautiful. Maybe Earth is the galactic melting pot we always hoped it could be. Maybe we're all just weird little creatures trying to survive, thrive, and not get abducted by mistake. And maybe, just maybe, the barista who keeps spelling your name as Strawblort isn't bad at spelling. Maybe they're just calling you by your real name. Welcome to What If Horizons, where we don't just ask the impossible, we give it a silly accent and a tinfoil hat. Stick around for next part, where we ask the important question. If aliens have been here this whole time, what have they been doing with all our cows? So, if aliens have been living among us for centuries, one question moves louder than the rest. What's with the cows? Seriously, these poor bovines have had a rough go of it since the dawn of abduction lore. You'd think if you could travel light years in a craft shaped like a fidget spinner, you'd have bigger ambitions than yoinking livestock off Kansas farms in the dead of night. But no, according to decades of grainy UFO footage and men in trucker hats who swear they saw a flying beef vacuum, cows are the go-to specimen for extraterrestrial curiosity. Are cows the cosmic USB stick of Earth? Are their stomachs portals? Is their milk the fuel source for hyperdrives? Or is it just that in the grand catalog of Earth creatures, cows are the least likely to fight back, scream, or try to sell the aliens cryptocurrency? It's hard to say, but it's clear that somewhere in the galactic hive mind there's a PowerPoint titled Earth, Probes, Cows, and Why Humans Keep Panicking. Some theorists say it's not about the cows themselves, but about their methane emissions. Maybe aliens are researching how to replicate planetary flatulence technology. Others think cows are just the decoys. The real experiment? Us. Maybe the aliens are testing how long humanity can keep believing cows are the target while they quietly siphon our data through smart fridges. But let's assume for a moment that the alien obsession with cows is entirely sincere. Then what exactly are they learning? That cows stand around all day chewing? That they don't respond well to being abducted with tractor beams? That branding is a terrible idea and should have stayed in marketing school? Or maybe cows are alien royalty and Earth is a protected zoo world where they're free to roam, be worshipped in some cultures, and occasionally get abducted for royal family reunions on the planet Mulax Prime. Meanwhile, farmers across the Midwest keep reporting mysterious crop circles. Those elegant swirly patterns that always show up overnight and absolutely scream, "Hello, we're aliens, but also amateur graphic designers." Many dismiss these as hoaxes, but let's be real. If an advanced civilization wanted to make contact, would they really write us an email or drop by the UN? No, they'd flatten your cornfield into a massive QR code that leads to their space podcast. The whole thing starts to make more sense if you consider that aliens might operate on a completely different sense of logic. While we're worried about Wi-Fi speed, they might value mu frequencies or consider cowbells to be the highest form of music. They might have built their civilization around bovine principles, slow movement, peaceful chewing, and an unshakable sense of calm even when doom approaches with a cheeseburger bun. Which leads us to a terrifying possibility. What if they don't just study cows? What if they envy them? What if, in their hyper-intelligent society of stress and technological overload, they look down at Earth and see the cow as the epitome of blissful existence? No taxes, no existential dread. Just eat, digest, repeat, and occasionally get your picture taken by a confused tourist. Maybe the aliens want to become cows. Maybe they're already halfway there, surgically implanting second stomachs and practicing the art of stillness. You might think that's insane, but then again, we have people who voluntarily live like medieval peasants, brew their own mead, and fear fluoride. So maybe interstellar cow cosplay isn't that far-fetched. Of course, there's also the commercial angle. What if alien influencers are farming Earth cows for the intergalactic dairy market? Somewhere out there could be a luxury cheese brand called Terra Mozzarella, selling at 6 million space credits a block to wealthy blob creatures in tuxedos made of plasma. Imagine trying to explain that to your local dairy farmer. Yes, sir, your cows are quite famous on Planet Smooth. In fact, they just starred in an alien cooking show. No subtitles, unfortunately. But all this talk of cows distracts from a larger point. If aliens are here, and if they're disinvested in our livestock, then we have to wonder what else they're studying. Chickens? Too chaotic. Cats? Probably already in charge. Pigeons? Maybe they're drones. But cows? Cows are the gateway species, the Rosetta Stone of rural alien interaction. And if we keep ignoring the signs, we may one day wake up to find that all the cows are gone, replaced by glowing replicants that produce oat milk and moo in binary. And so, dear listener, the next time you drive past a quiet field and see a lone cow staring at you with those big unblinking eyes, remember this: they may know more than you think. They may have seen things. Things they'll never share because they are cows. And cows don't talk. Except perhaps to aliens. Let's talk government. Not just your average red tape rap tax collecting pothole ignoring government, but the shady, behind the curtain, ultra classified, coffee fueled reptile run version you only hear about in hushed tones on conspiracy forums moderated by someone named Nebula69. Because if aliens have been living among us for centuries, blending in with our neighbors, photobombing our family portraits, and dominating our chess tournaments, then surely someone in a fancy office with a government badge and an addiction to microwave meatloaf has to know. But according to official statements, UFOs don't exist, aliens are myths, and any green guy you saw walking out of a Taco Bell at 3 a.m. was just someone with a strong love for guacamole and zero sunlight. Yet somehow those same governments have stockpiled thousands of classified files with names like Project Saucer Socket and Operation Don't Look Up. Coincidence? Well, it's just the world's most underwhelming cover-up. The U.S. government, for instance, spent decades denying anything alien-related while suspiciously investing billions into black budget programs with names so vague they can mean anything from building a Mars base to designing ergonomic staplers for military dolphins. Area 51 is the poster child of this nonsense, a place so secret that its official purpose used to be, we can't tell you, but definitely not alien stuff. Wink wink. Meanwhile, people have been spotting saucers flying above it like it's a UFO theme park. Are we really to believe that a nation that can't keep its email servers safe from teenagers with too much time and too little supervision has managed to keep alien contact a secret since the Truman administration? Or is it that the truth is so outlandish, so mind-meltingly bizarre, that they know we simply wouldn't believe it unless it was turned into a Netflix miniseries starring someone with intense eyebrows? And it's not just the Americans. Russia, China, the UK, even the Vatican has its own space observatory. That's right, the Pope has a telescope named Lucifer. I'm not saying they're hiding the mothership in the basement of the Sistine Chapel, but I'm also not saying that. For all we know, world governments might be on it together. A global alien peacekeeping coalition meeting every 6 months in a volcano lair to discuss crop circle etiquette and how to keep Elon Musk distracted. Or maybe they're just as confused as we are. Maybe they got one look at the aliens' interdimensional tax forms and decided it was easier to just deny everything and go back to pretending that fiscal policy was the real enemy. Some argue that the governments are working with the aliens, that treaties have been signed, intergalactic NDAs have been inked in space ink, and the occasional cattle abduction is the price we pay for access to alien tech like Velcro and TikTok. And if you think that sounds stupid, just remember, we live in a world where a monkey in a suit once ran for mayor and almost won. Anything's possible. Others believe that governments are controlled by aliens, not working with them, run by them. That our leaders are secretly reptilian shapeshifters who wear human skin like discount Halloween costumes and feast on negativity while pretending to care about road infrastructure. This would explain a lot. Like why politicians always blink too slowly. Or why debates feel more like malfunctioning androids spitting buzzwords in the void. If the reptilian elite do exist, then the world isn't being steered by incompetence, but by cold-blooded lizard logic. Which honestly feels like an upgrade. At least lizards know how to sunbathe. But let's not get lost in the paranoia swamp. Maybe the truth is simpler. Maybe governments are just regular humans trying to manage a reality that spiraled completely out of their hands. Maybe they found the aliens, asked them to leave politely, and got laughed at in 17 dimensions. Or maybe, just maybe, the aliens walked into the Pentagon, looked around, and said, you know what? They're doing a fine job ruining everything on their own. Let's just observe. And so with that terrifying but oddly comforting thought, we close another chapter in our journey through the cosmic madness of alien cohabitation. Whether the suits at the top know and lie, or know and panic, or don't know at all, and just spend their time playing Minesweeper on government computers, one thing remains certain. The truth is out there. Probably hiding behind a filing cabinet marked, "Weird stuff. Ignore." If aliens have been living among us for centuries, it's time we ask the real question. Have they also been our fashion consultants, music producers, and meme overlords this whole time? Because something or someone has been whispering weird ideas into humanity's collective ear for a long time, and that something probably smells like ozone and wears a shimmering robe made of stardust and questionable intentions. Let's start with music. Ever notice how every few decades we invent a sound that makes no sense? From throat singing to dubstep to whatever Billie Eilish whispers into her haunted microphone, there's always something that feels a little too alien. Ancient humans banged on rocks. Modern humans bang on laptops. Somewhere in between, a 12-finger being named Grooves from the planet Vinilax probably snuck into a studio, dropped a sick beat, and left before anyone noticed the mixer smelled like ammonia and regret. And don't even get me started on synthwave. That genre basically screams, I drive a spaceship and emotionally repress my feelings. Then there's fashion. Look around. Shoulder pads. Metallic jumpsuits. Sunglasses that cover 70% of your face. Crocs. If that's not alien influence, then explain how we went from animal skins to high-fashion blobs of plastic shaped like anti-footwear. The 80s in particular were a golden era of cosmic couture, when people dressed like their bodies were being controlled by Martians with a fetish for neon and asymmetry. You think David Bowie came up with Ziggy Stardust on his own? Please. He was clearly channeling some intergalactic muse who thought Earth needed more glitter and ambiguous sexuality. And it worked. That's the beauty of it. Aliens don't just study us, they inspire us. Like celestial life coaches with laser pointers and zero regard for subtlety, they've probably been sliding ideas into our heads during REM sleep, which is why you woke up one morning thinking you needed bangs and a cape. But fashion and music are just a start. Think about movies. From E.T. to Men in Black to Transformers 14, this time it's personal, our obsession with aliens has been relentless. Why? Because somewhere deep down we know. We feel it. Maybe Spielberg didn't invent those heart-melting brown eyes and glowing fingers. Maybe he just copied them from his childhood dentist who occasionally levitated. Sci-fi isn't just fiction. It's disguised documentary. Think about how often aliens in pop culture show up as either terrifying monsters or misunderstood geniuses who just want to teach us about love and quantum algebra. That's not storytelling. That's damage control. That's aliens trying to shape their brand. We are the PR campaign. Every movie, every comic book, every little green plush toy is another brick in the galaxy's biggest image rehab. Don't fear us, they say. We're quirky and adorable and only occasionally dissect you. And we buy it. Because nothing sells like a good alien, except maybe an alien with a tragic backstory and washboard abs. Even our architecture screams, please abduct me. Ever look at a brutalist concrete block of a building and think, ah yes, this is definitely what a race of interstellar accountants would design after eating one too many geometry textbooks. And pyramids? Don't get me started. Either aliens helped build them, or ancient Egyptians had access to the same productivity-enhancing playlists we use to clean our rooms. Either way, suspicious. Of course, some argue that aliens don't need to influence pop culture. They are pop culture. That they've been slipping into roles for centuries. Shakespeare's weird sisters? Totally aliens. Mozart's symphonies? Interstellar lullabies? The Mona Lisa? A very awkward family photo that Da Vinci agreed to paint in exchange for knowledge of time travel and perfect beer grooming. And you know those cats in astronaut helmets? The ones on every t-shirt, mug, and phone case? Yeah. That's not a trend. That's a warning. A perfectly subtle one. Because if there's one thing aliens love more than cows, it's cats. They respect them, fear them, possibly worship them. Some say the feline race is a galactic intelligence that co-evolved with the aliens to monitor us, silently judging us while sitting in cardboard boxes and occasionally knocking things off shelves to test gravity consistency. So what does all this mean? It means we're not just being visited, we're being curated. Humanity has become a cosmic reality show, and aliens are the executive producers, set designers, and occasional guest stars. They slip in and out of our culture like influencers with privacy cloaks, pushing trends, remixing genres, and casually convincing us that dyeing our hair blue is a sign of artistic enlightenment. Which, let's be honest, it probably is. So the next time you're at a music festival and someone in a glitter onesie offers you a glow stick shaped like Saturn while speaking only in emojis, don't be alarmed. That might not be a drunk raver. It might be a visitor from Gloop Tracks 9 doing fieldwork. Just offer them a juice box and ask them to recommend a playlist. It's time we address the mummy-wrapped elephant in the room. The ancient world was way too good at building stuff. I mean, have you seen the Great Pyramid of Giza? It's massive, precise, and aligned so perfectly with the stars that it makes modern GPS look like someone yelling directions through a cardboard tube. And it was built over 4,000 years ago by people who didn't even have coffee or Excel spreadsheets. Either humans were secretly geniuses with forearms like forklift trucks and a divine understanding of stone stacking, or, and hear me out, they had a little help from their friendly neighborhood space travelers with a minor obsession for triangle-themed architecture. That's the core of the ancient alien theory, that civilizations like the Egyptians, Sumerians, Mayans, and the ones responsible for building stone heads on random Polynesian beaches didn't just wake up one day and decide to become engineers for eternity. No, someone or something showed up, probably hovering just above the treetops, shimmering in iridescent robes, and asked, "Hey, want to learn how to levitate granite?" And humanity, being naturally curious and hopelessly eager to impress visitors who glow, said yes. Let's start with the Egyptians. They were ahead of their time in mathematics, medicine, and drawing oddly specific pictures of flying machines on their temple walls. What are the odds that their gods, all conveniently animal-headed, shiny, and fond of descending from the heavens, weren't just metaphors but actual tourists from planet Luxor 7 dropping by to teach hieroglyphs and get mistaken for jackal deities? I mean, Anubis looked like he'd rock a spaceship. Then there's the Sumerians, who invented writing, beer, and probably that awkward feeling you get when someone reads your clay tablet diary. They're myth-speaker beings called the Anunnaki, sky visitors who allegedly modified humans to mine gold. Just regular ancient stuff like DNA editing and resource extraction. Sounds nuts until you realize the same civilization that built ziggurats without cranes also created a calendar more accurate than the one your smartwatch uses to send you birthday reminders. Coincidence? Or interstellar project management? The Mayans, too, had a knack for astronomy so precise it could shame modern stargazers with laser telescopes. Their temples were practically observatories, their math included zero before it was cool, and their calendar predicted doomsdays better than most Instagram astrologers. They even carved beings in flying machines and people with what suspiciously resembled control panels. But sure, let's say it was all just ceremonial art and not the result of someone having tea with a Venusian named Kevin. And let's not forget the Nazca lines in Peru, those massive geoglyphs that can only be fully appreciated from the sky. Who were they for? The birds? Or perhaps the aerial visitors with navigation systems more advanced than whatever kept the Mars rover alive for 15 years longer than expected. Either way, it's a weird flex from a civilization without airplanes, and we respect that. Even across the Pacific, Easter Island's Moai statues stare blankly at the sea as if watching for someone or something to return. Built by people with no heavy machinery and apparently infinite patience, they line the coast like mute sentinels, daring you to explain their existence without involving someone with an anti-gravity toolkit. Of course, mainstream historians will tell you this is all just early engineering and cultural symbolism, which is adorable. I mean, humans are inventive, sure. But have you ever tried to build a shed without a YouTube tutorial? Now imagine aligning stone blocks weighing several tons using only manpower, and what I can only assume were deeply persuasive arguments. Seems fishy. Some say aliens were architects. Others claim they were gods. A more progressive theory says they were galactic interns doing a planet rotation assignment, building some pyramids here, tweaking a genome there, creating a few unsolvable riddles in sandstone for fun. Either way, the question lingers. If aliens were involved, why the obsession with teaching construction and math? Why not give us laser swords or a pamphlet on how not to destroy the planet via social media and fast food? The answer might be simple. Maybe building stuff is a galactic rite of passage. Maybe every young species gets a cosmic starter pack that includes stone alignment tutorials and basic lessons in not pooping where you eat. Or maybe the aliens were just bored, saw our planet, and thought, let's leave a few mysterious monoliths and disappear. It'll be hilarious in 4,000 years. Mission accomplished. Regardless, ancient structures around the world continue to defy easy explanation. Their size, complexity, and cosmic alignment suggest that if aliens weren't directly helping, they were at least yelling advice from orbit. And humanity, bless its stone-cutting soul, took that advice and made buildings so magnificent they still make modern architects cry into their coffee. Let's talk DNA, the little biological spiral staircase inside you that's basically the universe's way of keeping receipts. You inherit it from your parents, your grandparents, and possibly, according to some fringe scientists, that shimmering tall being with oversized black eyes who whispered algebra into your great-great-great-grandmother's ear sometime during a particularly starry night in 1342. That's right. We're talking about alien-human hybrids. No, not the green-skinned, antenna-wearing stereotypes who accidentally beam up cows. We mean you. Or at least someone you know. The theory is simple and insane, which is exactly how we like our theories. Aliens didn't just visit Earth, leave some pyramids, and vanish. They stayed. They mingled. They might have dated a few humans. And now, centuries later, their DNA is still hiding in our bloodlines like a distant uncle nobody invites to family reunions because he levitates and speaks fluent binary. The signs, supposedly, are everywhere. Ever met someone who never gets sick? Who has unusually vivid dreams? Who talks to plants and the plants seem to answer? Alien DNA, baby. What about that friend who always knows when someone's lying or who claims they can feel vibes in abandoned houses? Hybrid. The guy who insists they don't like pizza? Definitely hybrid. But it goes deeper. Ancient myths are full of skyborn beings descending to Earth, mating with mortals, and producing offspring with superpowers, glowing auras, or excellent cheekbones. The Greeks had demigods. The Hindus had avatars. The Mesopotamians had, well, complicated celestial soap operas. The point is, everyone seems to remember someone from the stars getting a little too cozy with the locals. And if we take those stories literally instead of as symbolic metaphors for spiritual union like boring professors say, then Earth may be less of a purebred planet and more of an intergalactic experiment in genetic diversity. The idea is that a long time ago, thousands, maybe tens of thousands of years back, a group of aliens, possibly bored or deeply invested in cosmic anthropology, decided to enhance the human genome. Maybe they wanted to boost intelligence, or emotional range, or simply see what happens when you add star matter to a species that still throws tantrums over pineapple on pizza. Some theories suggest that only a small percentage of the population carries this alien legacy, hence why most of us are average height and incapable of telepathy, while mysterious few are off meditating in caves, absorbing moonlight, or winning every game of poker through sheer intuition. Of course, science hasn't found the alien gene yet. Probably because it's hiding behind the junk DNA, those parts of your code that don't seem to do anything unless you believe, as many conspiracy fans do, that they're simply dormant instructions waiting for the mothership's return. One push of a glowing button and bam, you unlock telekinesis, universal empathy, and the ability to properly fold a fitted sheet. Pure alien magic. Let's also talk about blood types, because apparently that's where things get juicy. Rh-negative blood is one of the biggest clues in this theory. It's rare, mysterious, and confuses scientists almost as much as why boomers love minion memes. Some hybrid theorists claim Rh-negative people have higher intuition, better immunity, and a mysterious tendency to attract cats, UFO sightings, and weird dreams about geometric landscapes. Coincidence? Or is it just a side effect of galactic blood flowing through your veins? Even modern psychology dips its toe into the alien hybrid pool. There's a profile, often jokingly referred to as the starseed personality, full of traits like feeling like you don't belong, intense empathy, obsession with space, and a deep desire to fix Earth even though you barely remember where you parked your car. Sound familiar? That's either an alien soul trapped in a meat suit or a millennial with burnout. Sometimes both. And let's not forget the dreams. So many people report seeing alien landscapes, strange symbols, advanced machines, and celestial cities while they sleep. Are these just dreams? Or are they memories, downloads, flashbacks from your last life as a cargo pilot on Zendar 5 before your consciousness was shoved into a baby in Wisconsin? We'll never know. Unless, of course, they come back. And that's the spicy part. Some believe these alien ancestors are still watching, still guiding, and possibly planning to return. Maybe to reactivate the hybrids. Maybe to judge humanity's progress. Maybe just to collect rent. Who can say? So next time you see someone staring at the sky a little too long, meditating next to a quartz pyramid, or humming songs that sound like interstellar modem noises, don't be weird. They might be carrying humanity's last hope, or just be deeply into astrology. Either way, treat them with respect. Or they might call their cousins, and those cousins have lasers. Alright, it's time to address the other enormous alien-shaped elephant in the bunker. If extraterrestrials have been here for centuries, building pyramids, breeding hybrids, and teaching the Mayans trigonometry, then where the intergalactic heck is the paperwork? Because if there's one thing humanity does better than invent war and forget birthdays, it's bureaucracy. So surely, someone somewhere in power must have written a strongly worded memo titled Subject, Beings from Outer Space, Immediate Concerns and Catering Requirements. And oh, they have. Or at least they might have. Welcome to the wild world of government cover-ups, classified projects, and top-secret files that somehow keep getting accidentally declassified every few years. Usually on a Friday afternoon when everyone's distracted by a celebrity meltdown or a new Marvel trailer. First stop on this galactic paper trail, Area 51. The most famously secret military base that everyone knows about, talks about, makes documentaries about, and occasionally attempts a storm en masse with people wearing tinfoil hats and Naruto running across the desert. Located in Nevada, it's where all good conspiracy theories go to retire. Officially, it's a testing facility for experimental aircraft. Unofficially, it's where the U.S. military keeps recovered UFOs, alien tech, and possibly one very chill gray alien named Carl, who's just trying to learn the harmonica. The government didn't even admit Area 51 existed until 2013, despite decades of grainy photos, leaked documents, and that one guy from accounting who swears he saw a glowing saucer parked next to the vending machines. What else are they hiding? Glad you asked. There's Project Blue Book, the official U.S. Air Force investigation into UFOs from 1952 to 1969. They examined over 12,000 sightings, and then in a move that shocked absolutely no one, concluded, nothing to see here, folks. Despite some cases involving pilots, radar, and glowing objects that could outmaneuver physics like a caffeinated hummingbird. And then there's the majestic, mysterious, and mildly terrifying Majestic 12, or MJ-12 if you're cool. Allegedly formed by President Truman, this was a secret committee of scientists, military brass, and bureaucrats tasked with dealing with alien contact. Think of it as a cross between the Avengers and a Department of Motor Vehicles, except with more trench coats and cosmic dread. Documents about MJ-12 were leaked in the 1980s, but were quickly declared fake, then maybe real, then fake again, then suspiciously missing, and then sold as NFTs, which frankly only adds to the mystery. Let's not forget the famous Roswell incident of 1947. A rancher finds metallic debris on his land. The military shows up, announces they've captured a flying disc, then immediately walks that back and says, whoops, it was just a weather balloon. A weather balloon that apparently needed armed guards and decades of silence. Sure, Jan, the Roswell event birthed the modern UFO movement and inspired 1,000 books, 2 mediocre TV shows, and at least 3 garage bands named the Weather Balloons. But maybe the most fun development in recent years came from the U.S. Navy. In 2020, they declassified videos showing unidentified aerial phenomena, aka UFOs, doing impossible things like changing direction midair, accelerating at ridiculous speeds, and generally behaving like interdimensional dragonflies on Red Bull. And did the government finally say, yep, aliens are real? Of course not. They said, these are unidentified. We're not saying aliens, but we're also not saying aliens. Classic. So why would governments hide this stuff? Some say it's to prevent panic. Others argue it's to protect advanced tech, reverse engineer from alien crash sites, stuff that could solve energy crises or more likely be turned into slightly better missiles. And then there's the theory that disclosure is happening slowly, drip by carefully controlled drip, so people don't spontaneously combust from shock when the big reveal happens and a tall tentacled ambassador shows up on late night TV with a cookbook titled To Serve Man, hopefully not literally. But maybe, and bear with me here, maybe the cover-ups aren't entirely malicious. Maybe they're just deeply embarrassed. Think about it. What if aliens made contact in the 1940s, offered world peace, unlimited clean energy, and a galactic Netflix subscription, and some general accidentally insulted them by offering a can of Spam and calling their spaceship a shiny potato? It would explain a lot. Or perhaps the aliens gave us incredible knowledge, and we just forgot, filed it in the wrong drawer, misplaced a star drive between pages of a boring tax reform bill. After all, we are the species that built the internet and then used it primarily to watch cats fall off furniture. Are we really ready for hyperdimensional diplomacy? And what if, just what if, some governments are actively collaborating with aliens, sharing secrets, swapping tech, playing chess against multi-tentacle beings in smoky underground bunkers? That might explain the sudden leaps in technology, the mysterious disappearances of certain whistleblowers, and why every political speech sounds like it was written by a committee of Martians trying to sound relatable. Bottom line, whether they're covering up crash saucers, translating alien memes, or just hiding Carl's harmonica lessons, governments around the world might know a whole lot more than they're letting on. And if the truth is out there, it's probably redacted, classified, and stored in a filing cabinet under M for maybe extraterrestrials. So far, we've tiptoed through genetic theories, galactic breeding programs, and secret government bunkers with more classified documents than a toddler has sticky fingers. But now it's time to zoom out and ask a bigger, shinier, more terrifying question. What if aliens haven't just been observing us, probing cows, and judging our architectural taste in suburban malls? What if they've actually shaped the course of human history? That's right, we're not talking background influencers here. We're talking full-on cosmic stage directors, manipulating the script of civilization like a chaotic playwright with a fondness for plot twists, flaming swords, and surprise pandemics. Let's start with some of the classics: ancient Egypt, cradle of civilization, and possibly the galaxy's most successful stone block stacking competition. The pyramids, as we all know, are either tombs, giant energy conductors, star maps, or very elaborate alien Wi-Fi routers. Mainstream historians will say things like slave labor, engineering genius, and oh my god, please stop emailing me hieroglyphic UFO memes. But the precision, the alignment, the mathematical weirdness, it's all a bit much for a civilization that didn't have cranes or AutoCAD. Unless, of course, someone with a Lightspeed license and an interstellar IKEA manual helped out. And Egypt wasn't the only place getting mysterious celestial assistance. The Sumerians, our first real spreadsheet enthusiasts, had gods that came from the sky, gave them laws, math, and suspiciously accurate knowledge of astronomy. The Mayans built step pyramids aligned with the cosmos, invented a calendar that still gives people existential dread, and possibly threw interdimensional parties on solstices. Ancient India had flying chariots called vimanas, described in excruciating detail in Sanskrit text that read like a Tesla owner's manual for airbending. Meanwhile, in Greece, philosophers like Pythagoras claimed to get mathematical inspiration from the stars. Coincidence? Or was he plagiarizing his intergalactic pen pal? There's a growing theory that alien civilizations have acted as nudging mentors, occasionally popping in to say, hey, maybe try democracy. Also, stop drinking stagnant water. Try boiling it, call it tea. You're welcome. And then vanishing for 300 years while we immediately forget their advice and invent feudalism. But the influence didn't stop in ancient times. No. What if the Renaissance wasn't just a rebirth of classical ideas, but a strategically placed knowledge update? Leonardo da Vinci's notebooks look less like the doodles of a gifted painter and more like rejected patent applications for steampunk hoverboards and ornithopters powered by existential dread. Maybe he wasn't a genius. Maybe he had alien Wi-Fi. The Industrial Revolution? A sudden explosion of mechanical ingenuity, steam power, and soot. Sure, it was partially fueled by human greed and child labor, but what if someone gave us a cosmic nudge toward combustion engines to speed things up? Or possibly to accelerate climate change and test if we can fix a planetary ecosystem before melting it into a cosmic smoothie? And then there's the modern world. The rise of computers, the internet, artificial intelligence, technologies evolving faster than human wisdom can keep up with, kind of like giving a toddler a chainsaw and telling them to just use it responsibly. Some believe this rapid acceleration wasn't entirely organic, that we're being guided or tested by unseen hands. Perhaps the aliens are watching, taking notes, and placing bets on whether we'll blow ourselves up over Wi-Fi passwords or finally achieve enlightenment through cat memes. But let's not ignore the weirder theory, that aliens have directly inserted themselves into positions of power. Not just whispering in the ears of kings and influencers, but running companies, launching trends, and possibly being responsible for the continued popularity of reality TV. Think about it. Would a rational human invent influencer boxing, cryptocurrency based on frogs, or Crocs with LED lights? Or is this the work of beings so advanced that they see absurdity as high art? Some researchers, not the ones who get tenure, believe that alien infiltrators have been behind major shifts in economics, politics, and fashion. Did the Galactic Council create capitalism just to see what happens when you mix greed with Amazon Prime? Did they slip into boardrooms disguised as consultants and say, you know what this world needs? Disposable razors with 17 blades and a Bluetooth connection. And if aliens did influence our historical trajectory, to what end? Enlightenment? Surveillance? Entertainment? Are we just the galaxy's longest-running reality show where civilizations rise, collapse, and bicker about pineapple on pizza while Zarklax 7 laughs into his black hole popcorn? Some even say that world-ending events are less natural disasters and more season finales. That wars, plagues, and economic collapses are dramatic arcs, carefully timed to boost ratings for extraterrestrial viewers, which would explain why the 2020s feel like the writers got replaced by interns who accidentally dropped the script into a blender. But maybe, just maybe, it's all a test. The aliens seeded our evolution, gave us just enough tools, then stepped back to see if we'd figure it out. Like intergalactic parents watching their toddler try to assemble a bookshelf without instructions or thumbs. And depending on how we do, whether we destroy ourselves with nukes or build a utopia powered by kindness and cold fusion, they'll decide whether to welcome us to the Galactic Federation or hit the cosmic reset button. So next time you look at a world map, an economic crash, or the bizarrely specific rise of frog-themed crypto art, just ask yourself, is this really human behavior? Or are the aliens just having a laugh? Let's say tomorrow morning, right after you hit snooze for the third time and debated whether breakfast counts as a personality trait, the skies open up. Not metaphorically like when a self-help guru says open your heart to the universe, but literally like full-on Independence Day, minus the explosions. We hope. 1,000 ships the size of shopping malls drift silently into Earth's atmosphere. They don't fire lasers, they don't play spooky theremin music, and most disappointingly, they don't beam up cows, because it turns out that was just an interstellar meme taken way out of context. Instead, a deep, soothing voice interrupts every broadcast simultaneously. Hey Earth, we need to talk. First contact. The moment every sci-fi nerd, conspiracy theorist, and cable documentary producer has been waiting for. But how would humanity actually respond? Would we rise together in unity? Or would it be like the time your group project tried to agree on a font and World War Helvetica broke out? Spoiler alert, it's the second one. First, there'd be mass panic, obviously. Not because they're aliens, but because the global Wi-Fi would lag due to everyone trying to live stream the same alien press conference. Politicians would scramble to look calm while simultaneously wetting themselves in public. Religious leaders would dig through ancient texts looking for footnotes that say, in case of extraterrestrial visitation, see Appendix Z. Economists would panic about how to tax Martian exports, and influencers would immediately launch merch lines that say, I got abducted, and all I got was this overpriced hoodie. Meanwhile, the aliens, who have been watching us for centuries and are now deeply familiar with the chaos of human behavior, would stand politely on their spaceship balconies, waiting for the screaming to subside. They wear something unreasonably elegant, perhaps shimmering robes made of neutrino threads that shift color based on your emotional state, or a suit that generates its own theme music. Their leader, who will call Zorbax for dramatic purposes, would address the world. Greetings, Earthlings, Zorbax would say. We've been living among you for centuries. Your progress is acceptable. Mostly. A silence would fall across the planet, broken only by the sound of someone in Kansas saying, Told ya. Then the questions would flood in. Why are you here? What do you want? Have you been secretly influencing our elections, our fashion trends, our obsession with oat milk? Do you also find reality TV confusing, or is that just us? And most importantly, are we now the galactic equivalent of that weird family no one visits without bringing hand sanitizer? Some aliens might hold a live AMA, floating over cities in their bioorganic ships shaped like glowing squids, answering burning human questions like, can you cure acne? Do you have pets? And is Mercury in retrograde a real thing, or are we just unstable? They'd probably be diplomatic. We come in peace, they'd say. But we're watching. Especially Florida. Of course, not everyone would be on board. There'd be skeptics screaming fake news while holding up homemade signs comparing the aliens to lizard people and demanding their birth certificates. Some would try to fight back, because nothing says welcoming our cosmic guests like launching fireworks at their ships and hoping they can fuse them for rituals. Others naturally would try to date them. This is Earth, after all. Within 24 hours, there'd be a dating app filter for extraterrestrial friendly, complete with questions like, would you move to another planet for love? And how do you feel about telepathic intimacy? Politicians would try to score points. I've always supported our alien brothers and sisters, they'd say, while photoshopping themselves shaking hands with a generic gray alien next to Mount Rushmore. Meanwhile, corporations would pivot harder than a startup after a failed pitch. Fast food chains would launch galactic-themed burgers, soda brands would rebrand as zero-gravity cola, and some billionaire would try to franchise Martian real estate. But amid the chaos, something strange would happen. Humanity would get introspective. A little. Okay, briefly. Because when someone smarter, older, and possibly glowing bioluminescently shows up at your front door and says, we've been watching your planet's TikTok algorithm and we're concerned, you can't help but rethink your life choices. Maybe the aliens would offer us wisdom. Like, here's how to fix your climate without giving up pizza, or this is the cord that unites all living beings in peace and also unlocks free healthcare. Or maybe they just hold up a giant celestial mirror and ask, is this really who you want to be? Cue existential crisis. But the biggest twist? What if they weren't here to conquer or mentor or even judge? What if they just wanted to hang out? To finally step out of the shadows and say, we've been crashing your parties for centuries, and frankly, your music has improved. What if they just want to be friends? After all, being an intergalactic species is lonely, and Earth, chaotic, unpredictable, your lively bonkers Earth, might just be the weird little sibling worth inviting to the big kids' table. Or maybe, just maybe, they're here for the memes. So here we are. After centuries of hiding in our shadows, stealing our cows, and possibly rigging 3 seasons of geopolitics and 2 World Cups, the aliens have finally emerged from the interstellar broom closet and said, "Sup, Earth? Nice planet. Shame about the plumbing." We've screamed, memed, invented 6 new religions in their honor, tried to sell them insurance, and now at last things are settling. And the question that's bigger than Zorbax's forehead ridge and heavier than a quantum hangover is this: what now? Because once you know you're not alone in the universe, you can't exactly go back to arguing about pineapple on pizza like nothing happened. Everything changes, or at least it should. The first step in this new galactic era? Perspective. Suddenly, our petty squabbles over borders, belief systems, and whose turn it is to take out the trash seem a bit ridiculous when you realize there's a species that can fold space-time, communicate via color-shifting eyebrows, and hasn't used a fossil fuel since the dinosaurs were doing TikTok dances of their own extinction. We start thinking globally, not in the vague corporate jargon way, but really globally. Because now Earth isn't just a bunch of countries squabbling over slightly different types of bread. It's one tiny blue dot trying to be taken seriously by a cosmic federation that's been watching us the way you watch toddlers argue over imaginary rules in a sandbox. And the aliens, bless their hovering hearts, don't come here to fix us. Oh no. They come with the same energy as that one friend who pops by during your emotional breakdown, hands you a smoothie, and says, "I'll wait. But please stop setting your kitchen on fire." They don't solve our problems. They give us tools. They beam down a clean energy generator the size of a microwave that could power New York for a century, but they don't plug it in. They just leave it on the lawn and wink. They open up access to their libraries of universal knowledge, but every entry ends with, "So what did you learn?" and a shrug emoji made of light. It's not spoon-feeding. It's alien tough love. And somehow, it works. Humans, confused but inspired, start collaborating. Not all at once. There's still that one country trying to weaponize the gift alien toaster, and 3 billionaires trying to claim space toll rights. But gradually, beautifully, we shift. Fossil fuels get ditched. Education goes universal. Intergalactic language programs become more popular than dating apps. Although, to be fair, some of those courses are used for flirting. Nice plasma field. Want to exchange neural patterns? We begin to see ourselves not as warring tribes or corporate fiefdoms, but as Earthlings, a weird, chaotic species with questionable taste in pants but limitless potential. We build, not just bigger, but smarter. Vertical cities powered by solar bubbles, floating gardens orbiting above old landfills, musical transportation systems that run on joy and recycled dad jokes. We clean up the oceans, not because the aliens made us, but because one alien poet released a sonnet that translated to "Your fish are sad." Global cooperation becomes cool again. Wars slow then fade. Not because we've reached utopia, but because there's more important stuff to do, like applying to the interstellar culture exchange, or building a monument to the moment we finally got over ourselves. And what about us, the regular humans? Well, we adjust. Some become cultural ambassadors, learning alien comedy, which turns out to be 89% timing and 11% mind reading. Some become interplanetary chefs, combining Earth spices with alien ingredients that occasionally taste like existential dread, but pair beautifully with garlic. And many just live better. More aware, more curious. Because knowing we're not alone doesn't just expand the universe, it deepens our understanding of ourselves. We realize that Earth, for all its messy, ridiculous drama, is a miracle, not in the shiny, sacred sense. In the absurd, resilient, painfully human sense. And if the aliens who've seen stars collapse and civilizations implode look at us and say, "You've got potential," then maybe, just maybe, it's true. So we move forward, not as passengers on a rock hurtling through space, but as co-authors of our destiny, flawed, stubborn, wonderfully weird humans who finally realize that the galaxy isn't waiting to conquer or save us. It's waiting to meet us, properly, as equals, as friends, as the species that invented jazz, croissants, democracy sort of, and cat videos. And maybe, just maybe, that's enough to earn our seat at the cosmic table, right between the tentacle poets of Glorgnax and the sentient clouds from Satirical. So here's to the future, to the weird, the wild, the wonderful unknown, to looking up and realizing we're not alone, and never were, and to finally answering the age-old question, are we there yet? Not quite, but we're on the right road. And now, thanks to our alien friends, we finally remembered to update the GPS. Until next time, fellow Earthlings, keep looking up, keep questioning everything, and for the love of Zorbax, stop trying to make pineapple-flavored toothpaste. This has been What If Horizons, your regularly scheduled dive into the hilarious abyss of possibility.